everyone. So I have added temporarily this column meter. This is the positive and negative side of the relay. And so this thing's only going to be on when the relays are open, that is, when the car's on. I've chosen to ground this to the hybrid battery and not to the 12-volt system. Now, the device itself requires a lower power application, and they suggest using a second battery, but I'm not going to mix the 12-volt battery of the vehicle and the hybrid because if there was some type of a negative crossover, um, something would fry. And another reason why this is temporary is because the full 231 volts is traveling through these thin wires, and I've just scotch locked them in place. And this, again, is a temporary thing. Now, there's only power on these wires when the car's energized. You see that the device is off. So this is controlled by the vehicle. But, once we do these tests, we're going to disconnect this whole thing. And now, not once during the testing was my wife or daughter in the vehicle. The vehicle traveled 107, it was 107 miles one way. So there was lots of time for testing. And as you'll see, the results are kind of typical after you looked at them once, you see them a hundred times. So this is at the driveway, and so I'm moving this device over. And sorry if the camera works a little bit shaky, but I'm not trying to look while I'm driving. So I'm holding this in place, and we're just going down the road with just a little bit of oomph. So we're just pulling from the batteries right now, and going real slow, and we're getting ready. Right there, the engine itself is kicked in, and I've also gunned it. So it does pull a lot of amps uh, when you're pushing it, but it never hangs out at 100 amps. And then I just decelerated and then put my foot on it back to maintain the speed. The speed through here, um, I got off one road to another. It's 25 miles an hour, and doesn't pull a whole lot of amps. Now, toward the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the dirty little hybrid secret that you really should know about because it affects your economy a lot. So stay tuned to the end for that. But for now, we're just going to analyze this portion of it. Now, this is just driving through town. I've got three separate clips, and so you can, in the middle of town, hit like 50 amps, 100 amps. It is pretty momentarily, and once the engine kicks in, it really does try to eliminate that with the hybrid motor. But let's see if you can notice something about the amperage that'll give it away. I've kind of had an inclination what this was for a long time, and you see when I take my foot off the gas how it goes into a negative state. So the it kind of reverse charges, but most of the time the electricity is flowing through the battery. All right, so here's clip two. I stopped to refuel my vehicle and also refuel myself. So we're just kind of getting back out on the road. Gonna hit a couple traffic lights real quick, and then we'll be on the merge. Now the merge is pretty long on this exit. It's kind of a new exit, and so we're gonna give a little bit of gas here. So notice on the right the voltages. When you decelerate, it'll hit full. Now full I've programmed for 255 volts, but it never stays in that full portion for very long. I mean, it hits full and then right away goes back to the nominal voltage. Now you see I'm accelerating pretty hard here. It stays kind of in the 90s and 70s, and eventually the motors catch it back up. Take my foot off the gas, hit it again, and we're hitting 100 amps, 80 amps, 112 amps. So a lot of juice flowing through this. A lot of people have asked me, do the batteries that I've installed, I've got them in there at a 2P. How can they handle that? And the answer is we're not looking at two batteries, but this is one giant battery, even though we've organized it in 2p 5 parallel per cell. These cells are all interlinked together and they make one giant battery. So now this is out on the highway, and I want you to notice something about the amps. It is sitting there and kind of hovering in the 50 and 40 amps. Now this is like 25 minutes into the drive, and there's no way that is charging it this whole time. Now here's what's going on. Especially on the Prius, I can't speak for other vehicles, but especially on the Prius, the dirty secret is that when you're driving down the road, the hybrid motor, it's always in gas when you're going fast like that. It is always converting mechanical energy into electrical. So you have to go from mechanical to electrical, and then you're going from electrical to electric motor. So there's two big losses right there. And if the only way to get rid of them would be to be purely mechanical engine while you're driving down the road, and then only when you're in the city or need that extra help should it rely on the batteries and on that engine located. So that's the dirty little secret. I don't know if you guys noticed this before. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.